Welcome to the Bookish Hour with your hosts, Sarah E. Burr and J.C. Kenney. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bookish Hour. I'm Sarah Burr.
And I am J.C. Kenney, live from Austin, Texas. And I am more excited than that because we have a super fabulous friend and a wonderful author hanging out with us tonight, Sarah. So I think it's time to get bookish.
I think it is time. I am so jealous that you have a real live cool background where I'm just sitting. I do have my Christmas tree up, but this unfortunately is not my beautiful Christmas tree or roaring fireplace. So JC is on the scene in Austin, and we are joined by the wonderful Rose Kerr. Rose, we are so happy to have you here to be able to chat about your brand new mystery series. You stopped by to chat about Death on the Set, which was your first cozy mystery featuring Brenna Flynn, who is she is like a temp worker, and she started working on a TV set. And I vividly remember JC and I talking about like how much we felt like we learned about reality TV and like being behind the scenes on TV. So I can't wait to talk about what I learned about archaeology for Dr. Maya and her just amazing adventure that she gets to go on. But before we do that, I want to say hello to our wonderful viewers who are joining us this evening. We've got Farmhouse Reader, we've got Claudia, we've got Karen, all chiming in the chat, wishing everybody good evening and hello. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure that you are logged into our chat this evening because Rose is doing a very, very generous $20 Amazon or Kobo gift card giveaway. So we've got some fun spending money up for grabs for the holidays, where you can stock up on a bunch of fabulous books, which I hope will include Death at the Scottish Broch, which is the first. That was pretty good, right?
That's good.
That was pretty good. I'm not going to try it again because I'll have to try it. I'll have to be more natural about it. I don't think I can perform like that but we'll see if I can pull it off one more time during the show. We've got DHB and Guy That Fixes Stuff also saying hello and good evening. So without further ado, Rose, for folks who may not be familiar with you and your work, would you mind just introducing yourself and a little bit about your writing career?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much, Sarah and JC, for inviting me to come. I'm so happy to be here. Sarah and JC and I are good friends. We were part of the same agency. That's how we met. So I'm really happy to be here. I am Canadian. I live in Southern Ontario. We moved to Southern Ontario from Northern Ontario to get away from the minus 40 below winters.
Gosh.
So it was quite cold. So we're down south and it's much nicer. I started writing, I guess it was in about 2013. I had been downsized from a position that I had held with an organization. And my husband said, look, you've always wanted to write. Why don't you try? Like, you have nothing to lose. Just go ahead and try. So I did. I started writing, and I had done a lot of writing for business and thought, piece of cake, I could do this. Well, not exactly. So it took me 8 years to be able to find an agent, to get a book that was ready and publishable, and to find an agent. And Dawn Dowdle was our agent, and she signed me on, and I learned a lot from her. And she helped me get Death on the Set, Brenna Flynn Mystery, published and out in the world. And I was happy and thrilled to be part of that. She also was part of getting me my contract with Level Best Books for Death at the Scottish Broch. And I'm thrilled that my book is out in the world. And I love writing. I couldn't, for a long time, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to write. And I just sat back and kind of looked at the books that I was reading. And, I thought I'd kind of lean more towards romance. And then when I took a look at my bookcase, it's all murder and mystery. So maybe not the romance. So So I lean more into the murder and mystery and instead of the romance, and I've been having a really good time with that. So it's been a lot of fun.
A couple things to point out. Number one, kudos to your husband for like telling you to, you've always wanted to do something that you love, like, and that's such a wonderful piece of advice. So I'm very, very happy that you listened. Two, when you said 2013, I was like, oh, that's like only like 4 years ago. And no, it's not. It's God, it's more than 10 years ago now. But you've still like accomplished so much in that period of time. And when you mentioned Dawn and like the things that she taught you, I just have to share with you guys, and you probably remember this, when, we signed up with the agency, she asked us to like put a Google alert about ourselves up so that anytime that there was like press or something about you, you got notified of it. So little old me, like, never got a Google alert in my life about myself. It was always about some Australian pickleball superstar named Sarah Burr, who she is literally like the number 2 player in the world. It is like amazing. I've been following her career through these alerts because that's what I get. But lo and behold, last weekend I got an alert and it was actually about me and an event that I did. I was just like, this was such a full circle moment, and thinking about Dawn, and it was just like, it was just really moving and emotional, and I thought you guys might appreciate that. Because we did learn a lot, and she brought us together, and I'm so grateful that happened, because the community that we had and that we still have is truly wonderful. So I can't wait to dive in more and kind of hear about your process, because since we have talked about Brenna before and Death on the Set, exploring how to start a new series, and especially one, Dr. Maya, she is a archaeologist. So the fact that she has this like amazing career, I can't wait to learn more about like how you met her. But before we start talking about that, I do want to make sure that we give a shout out to Anne, who is saying hello from Orange, Massachusetts. Oh, Anne, I drive by Orange, Massachusetts every time I go to visit my family in Maine. So welcome. We're glad that you're here. So that was a long-winded way, Rose, of asking you to kind of set the stage for us about Maya and her world, because she is centered in Lakeview City, Canada. But her adventure takes her abroad to the beautiful world of Scotland. And so how did she come about in your imagination?
So she came about in, I think it was 2018. I belonged to a writers group in Timmins, and we did a lot of brainstorming together. And I mentioned, one of the careers that I wish I had, if it had been available, I would have loved to be an archaeologist. And somebody said, well, write about it. And I went, okay. So I started investigating different courses online. There were a lot of through Open University in England and Great Britain. There was several different courses that I took, and Archaeology 101, those types of things, just the basics in archaeology. And when I start a new book, I start with my main character. I need to know who that person is inside and out. So I really did a lot of investigating into and a lot of research into the field of archaeology and what it takes to become an archaeologist and what they actually do. It's not the glorified Indiana Jones of the past. No, actually not. He would have been like kind of going over to the grave robbing side. But anyway, so the modern day archaeologist is somebody who is dedicated and works hard and looks to the past to learn about the future and what's happening today. And so I learned that the archaeologists are really dedicated. And interestingly enough, a few years ago, my husband and I were in Nova Scotia, and we were visiting one of the provincial parks. And one of the guides was a student, and we started talking. And I said, "What do you study?" And she said, "I'm at Mount Allison." And my son had gone to Mount Allison in New Brunswick. And I said, "Oh, what do you study?" And she said, "I'm studying archaeology." Well, it was fate. I just went, "Oh, great. Can I talk to you?" So she had a break and we chatted back and forth for about 20 minutes, and she filled me in on what she had been doing as a student who was taking archaeology and some of the digs that she had gone to and what it was like as a student being on a dig. And so that brought in a whole other perspective that I wanted to bring into my book with Mia, because she works closely with students and feels very strongly the need to protect them and to keep them safe. So the student's name was Olivia. And so she was amazing. And I said, if I have questions, can I email you? And she goes, sure. And she graciously answered all of my questions. I mean,
wow.
I sent her an email that had like 20 questions and graciously answered them. So yeah, I really wanted to know Mia well before I started writing. And so I looked to different archaeological organizations as well. The American Institute of Archaeology runs programs that are available online. They started them during COVID. And so I took part in a lot of those programs and listened. And a lot of the people that were presenting were women. And so it was interesting to hear their perspective as opposed to a man's perspective as well. So it was really good. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
No, it did. Yeah. And a really quick follow-up, this open university that you mentioned, is that just like, so were you taking like certification courses, or is it just stuff that you're learning and like you don't really have to like do homework and stuff?
So there was a lot of reading that you had to do. There were a lot of exercises that you did. Everything was online. And you could continue on for certification if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
The ones that I was taking, they were free of charge. So because they were free of charge, they didn't lead to a certification.
Gotcha.
If I had paid the fee, I would have gone on to be able to be certified.
That's amazing.
There's so much. And I mean, I worked in distance education, so that's kind of how I knew where to go looking for courses. And they were really good. One of the courses that I took involved antiquities smuggling, which plays a role in this book as well. And I had never realized how widespread and rampant it was around the world.
Oh yeah.
And the archaeologist who was teaching the course was excellent, and she was explaining how it's not all like gems and gold and it's like small little figures that are taken and tucked into a backpack and they just walk away with it. So those were some of the things that I learned in that course, and they were really good, and it's widespread. So anyway, I wanted to bring that in the book as well.
Well, and that brings up a perfect segue. So good job, Rose, because this the book, basically, while it opens in Canada, the vast majority of it takes place, as Sarah mentioned, on the Isle of Skye, and that is just one of the coolest names for any place on Earth, in my opinion. I've always just been enchanted with the name, the location. Can you tell us why you chose the Isle of Skye as the main setting for the story?
So I was going to put the setting was going to be in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I went, and because it's a big city, everybody goes there. There's lots happening. Arthur's Seat, the castle, everything's there. So I thought, I could put it there. And then I started writing it, and it just didn't feel right. So I spoke with a friend who had been to Scotland, because I've never been to Scotland. Full disclosure, I've never been there.
Oh, wow.
But couldn't tell.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, research works then, and excellent beta readers. So I was chatting with a friend who'd been there, and she goes, everybody talks about Edinburgh, and it's great, it's wonderful, but she said the Isle of Skye is fabulous. It's gorgeous. It's a little bit isolated, and it's just raw. So I said, oh, okay. So she had gone and she'd done a tour, and she showed me pictures, and I went, holy cow, this is stunning. Like, I can't believe it. And then a couple of other friends had gone, and they shared photos with me and stories. And I said, okay, we're changing. It's not going to be in Edinburgh. It's going to be on the Isle of Skye, and it's going to be off a little village. And so that's how I came to pick it. And I just the photos that I've seen, the videos, the movies, everything, it's a magical, mystical world that anything can happen. Like anything could happen there. And it's absolutely amazing. I told my husband we have to go, and he says, yes, we are going to get there. So so we will get there. And I can't wait to see the places that I've read about and seen. And I followed different travel loggers who traveled to the Isle of Skye, and where they went and how they traveled and how they got there. And that's how I determined the route that Maya and Diana would take in to get to the Isle of Skye as well. So those were really helpful. So, yeah.
That is so having read the book and thinking about the action taking place in Edinburgh is just like such a wild concept, because the Isle of Skye just like lends itself to being this really cozy setting.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's got that haunting aspect to it that I think lends itself so well to some of your more suspenseful scenes and things like that. So it's really cool to like see kind of like a behind the scenes look of how Maya's story originally started. A quick hello to David, who is joining us from the New Hampshire Seacoast. Welcome, David. And we have Annie also chiming in with a hello. Thanks, guys, for being here. Glad that you could be with us. We are chatting with the wonderful Rose Kerr about her new book, Death at the Scottish Broch. Oh, I did it again.
Very good, Sarah.
I try. So I would love to know, how did you choose the type of archaeological dig that Maya was going to explore? Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that she could get up to, but how did you specifically choose a broch?
So I wanted something that was unique. I wanted something that wasn't anywhere else. And brochs are unique to Scotland. They're only found in Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
And they date back to the Iron Age, which is about 2,500 years ago. And they are a circular stone structure. And they're huge. They're big. They're really big. And they could have been used as like a fort to defend from marauders coming in. They could have been used, and probably were used, by chieftains of clans to hold their people in one place, like a big communal living area. And they could also have been used to house the cattle and the sheep that were used in farming. So there were many uses for them. And I wanted Maya to have the opportunity to be in a place where it was unique, it was something different, and also a little bit of mystery, because we bring Bonnie Prince Charlie in as well. And he was on the Isle of Skye in 1745, when they were making a bid to become the ruler of Scotland again. And so that kind of plays into the treasure aspect of what they're looking for and what they find at the broch. And that was why I selected a broch. And then I kind of thought, so we're going to make this one a little bit decrepit. The roof is gone, and the walls have fallen, and there's still one main wall that's going to protect them from the wind, but it's still going to be a place where they can find examples and artifacts of life back in those days, and to bring everything back up to current times as well. So, and there are quite a few brochs throughout Scotland, and I believe there is one actually on the Isle of Skye as well, but mine has nothing to do with the real stuff. Mine is completely fictionalized. So,
just to clarify for folks, because again, it's those of us who are uncultured Americans think, Scotland, the UK, castles and things like this. This, like the broch predates like a castle by literally hundreds, if not thousands of years, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do. With 2,500 years ago. So like you're looking at the Iron Age was back then, so they probably built them in 200 AD, and like it's really crazy to see, and the structures are still standing in some places, so it's amazing. And so they also had like little spaces for little comparatively little spaces for windows where you could see if anybody was coming to attack you, and they could use those as a defense mechanism. They also had staircases that will go up to those windows. And my husband's family, Kerr, is from Scotland, and the Kerrs were apparently left-handed, and in their castles and buildings, the staircases were built to accommodate a left-handed fighter, so that they had an immediate edge over their enemies when they were coming to fight in their castles. So,
oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And we have, not only do we have like the mystery of what is at or what is to be found at the Broch, but we also have a murder mystery. And I have to say, Rose, that and this is coming from someone who I've read a lot of murder mysteries this year. And the connection that Maya has with the victim is so beautifully moving and deep, and it just felt so authentic. Sometimes, when I'm reading, the victim is kind of somebody that's like off screen, and maybe we don't really know a lot about them. We're not as invested in that person just because they're dead, and our focus is the mystery. But Ethan is just the most he just permeated the story, really showing how, he was the reason that Maya was there to begin with. And she's known him for, 20 some years. She has a beautiful relationship with his family. And I just thought it was so well done of, reminding the reader that we are dealing with a murder. And having that kind of solemn effect, but having this fire within Maya that she needs to get answers because this is her dear friend. His family has gone through the ringer even before his death. And so I'm curious how, and he was just like, even though we didn't meet him directly, he was just like such a likable guy. So why did you decide to kill him?
I didn't really want to, but I had to find somebody that I needed something that would really motivate Maya to push hard. And I hesitated about killing Ethan off. I really did. Because I had written one version where he was alive and well, and it was just they found somebody dead in the Broch, and whatever. But it didn't feel real. And so I kind of thought like Ethan's a really nice guy, and you wouldn't want anything to happen to him. And he was really close. He was like a brother because she has no siblings. So he was her brother by another mother kind of thing. And I thought that would push her. And then having to talk to Shelley and his wife and to reinforce that, yes, I'm going to find out what happened and I'll find answers for you. That I think is really what pushes Maya into I need to investigate and I need to find out what's going on. And these guys aren't doing enough and I'm going to do more. So yeah, I think that's why I'm really glad that resonated with you. It really made me feel good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Resonated. Yeah.
It was, there are definitely, there's just parts where I was like reading, I was like, oh, why is he dead? I was so, but you're so right, because it's so natural. And it was so effortless for me to believe that Maya would be involved in this investigation. And it also really helped that the investigative team, I think, they were pretty unique because you had D.I. Anderson, who is, I thought he was a pretty great detective or detective inspector. I can never remember what DI
inspector.
Okay,
yeah. I
always forget what DI stands for.
Yeah.
Because number one, he doesn't brush Maya off, and he's very much aware of this man was killed at an archaeological site. There is a team here. They found a treasure that may be piquing people's interest. And he seems to value her opinion, the opinion of the team, and just like letting them kind of be involved in a way that makes sense. It made sense for them to be involved. But we also have Luke Forbes, who enters the picture, and his backstory is really interesting. And I'm wondering if you would share a little bit about Luke and how he ended up where he is, and how he knew Maya beforehand.
Yeah, Luke. So Luke Forbes is British. He's from England, and he was studying archaeology. He went to the same university that Maya and Ethan and Shelley's Ethan's wife, that they went to. And Maya and Luke, hooked up as boyfriend and girlfriend in grad school, and they were in grad school for 2 years. Their second year, they lived together. They were exclusive to each other, and both of them assumed that they were going to be together for the rest of their lives. So when Luke went back home to England, he encountered an old girlfriend who was super impressed with his letters behind his name and made a play for him. And Luke, fool that he was, fell for it. So anyway, they had a one-night stand.
I'll admit it.
Yeah, they had a one-night stand, and Jacqueline came to him a month or so later and says, "I'm pregnant and it's yours, and we need to do something about this," because she had a plan in mind for Luke. Meanwhile, Maya had gone off on a dig and didn't know anything about what was happening with Luke. She thought he was making arrangements to come back. The next thing that she hears is she gets an email, supposedly from Luke, but it comes from Jacqueline, and she's, it's the engagement announcement. So Maya's brokenhearted, breaks off all communication with Luke, and goes to Southern America, Southern America, where she is incommunicado with everybody. Meanwhile, Luke and his wife go on their merry way, and he soon discovers that no, she's not pregnant. But he's determined to make it work because he's tried to communicate with Maya and she's never responded back to him. He works for the British Museum. He's as an archaeologist there, he's working. And a patron comes by and asks that he helps him buy an illegal artifact. Well, he won't put up with that, so he reports it to his supervisor. His wife gets really angry with him, blows up the marriage, and then Luke has worked closely with an agent from Interpol with the AART, which is the Antiquities and Art Recovery Team, and he's asked if he would like to join the team, so he does. And when Maya arrives at the bed and breakfast where they're all staying, that's where she encounters Luke for the first time in almost 10 years. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I was just going to say that, one of the things I thought was really clever about the plot, Rose, was not only having Luke be an old friend, or more, as we're going to have to read more to find out, but also I just thought that was really clever the way this story certainly could have stood on its own just as a murder mystery, that this guy gets bumped off at this archaeological dig, kind of an Agatha Christie, okay, who done it just within there. But no, you bring something else into the picture, with Luke's job and the whole, illegal trade of antiquities, which I thought just was really a really cool masterstroke to kind of take something really focused and then have it really literally global at the same time. So I want to know lots of stuff, but this particular time I'd like to know where did that idea to bring in the illegal antiquities trade come from?
So actually, that came from a course that I took through Open Learn University. One of the courses was the illegal smuggling of antiquities, and I just thought that'd be a great book. And so, and there are books written that involve those types as well. So I wanted to include this in this book because I thought it was pertinent, because the antiquities that they find at the Broch are easy to, some of them are very small and easy to take and to walk away with. And so I wanted to make sure that's also like part of what I like to do when I write is I like to teach people about something, but I don't want to be preachy when I'm doing it. I just want, this is happening. This happened in the past and it's still happening today. Antiquities are illegally taken and they are smuggled and people buy them. And, sometimes if you're a tourist and you're going to a little spot and there's this antiquity and it's for sale, you want to be careful that you're not buying something that you shouldn't be buying. So, those are the kinds of things that I wanted to bring out and to let people know about, that it is real and it is happening. And there globally, the police around the world are trying to stop this, and it happens. But yeah, so that, I wanted to bring that in, and I knew I wanted Maya to have a love interest that was going to be around, and I wanted it to be somebody that she knew, and then I wanted it to be a little bit of a different focus for her, because Dawn and I had discussed, because I had thought that I was going to move Maya into the Interpol world. And she said, well, if you do that, she's not a cozy anymore. And I said, well, I don't want to do that. I want to write cozies. So I wanted to bring Interpol into the picture. And so to do that, I had to have Luke. I had to have somebody who was going to be Interpol. So Luke's Interpol. And so that's where that all came in.
I think they have a really mature relationship, and I don't know what it is. I've come across it like in a couple books recently where I've just been like so impressed with the maturity of the characters. And like, yes, they had a falling out 10 years ago, but we're here and now. And like I don't know. I just really loved how they worked together. And that Luke was really effortlessly able to kind of fit himself into all of these situations because yes, he's an acquaintance and he's also a friend of the deceased. So like he's invested in this as well. And I also can we just appreciate the brilliance of the Interpol, the fact that the antiquities and art recovery team is also art as I was just like, it's so cool that they did that. I love that. And
by the way, Sarah, that's a real thing, right?
It is, yeah. And I just think it's like the most clever thing. That's like, I wouldn't think that Interpol would have like a sense of humor in that way, but I just really like it. Jim, I don't know if you remember, I think in the episodes of Psych that feature, I just remember him as the Princess Bride.
Yes, Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, when he is, what is his character name?
It's not Prospero, but it's some.
Yes, it is. I think it is. They talk about the art team there too. So I love seeing that out in the world. And Rose, I remember this vividly from Death at the Set being like, you taught me something and it does not feel preachy whatsoever. And like, that's the same. And that's like one thing that I really love about your writing is that like, I feel so informed after reading, but in an enjoyable manner. And we also have Claudia saying that she likes to learn new things when she reads as well. And also a couple fascinating from David and Annie saying very cool. I think this is when we were talking about the Broch, but I missed that. And I also missed that we're past our half hour cutoff. So folks, we need to tell you about the fabulous giveaway that Rose is doing this evening. Right. We have a very interesting magic word for you. Rose is generously giving away a $20 Amazon or Kobo e-gift card. So our winner will need to send me their email address so we can get things delivered. But Rose, would you like to tell people what word they will be figuring out how to type into the chat?
Yes. So you will need to figure out how to type in archaeologist.
And folks, don't worry. I know many ways to spell archaeologist because I could never spell it correctly. So we've got you covered. If you miss a letter or two, we'll get you in there. No problem. I was telling these guys before we started the show that in my my second Gledmeyer Whim mystery, where I have an archaeologist, I spelt it wrong throughout the entire book. And my beta reader was like, you know that it's spelled this way, don't you? And so I understand. So feel free, type in the word archaeologist into the chat to be entered into your $20 Amazon or Kobo giveaway, which is perfect for the holiday season. And we will announce our winner at the end of the show. Rose, so we've talked about Maya, we've talked about Luke, we've talked about the wonderful Ethan, rest in peace. Can you tell us a little bit more, I guess, about the circumstances that are bringing Maya to Scotland? Because, and gosh, one thing I love about Cozy Mysteries is you kind of get hit up front with all of these, like, oh man, like things aren't really going our protagonist's way. And Maya's dealing with a lot when she goes over to Scotland. So can you set the scene a little bit for us as to why she's there in the first place, and maybe why this whole journey has come at the perfect time for her?
Yeah. So I always like to give my characters trouble. So Maya, when she starts, right at the beginning, she's biking to work. She is, and Lakeview City is based on Toronto. I just didn't want to call it Toronto because I'm using places that are real and I didn't want to get sued. So, Maya's biking to work to Lakeview University, where she's a professor of archaeology. And it is the end of term and she's on her way. She's planning ahead to what's going to happen this summer. She gets run over by an SUV. There's an SUV that's following her and it just crosses right in front of her. She, hits the SUV, flips off her bike and scrapes her hands and is dazed. And, one guy comes out and tries to help her. The other guy's got her backpack and, the one guy is saying, here, let's give you money to help you out, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, whatever. So that's the start of her day. She gets into work and she's getting things organized. She gets an email from Ethan with wonderful news that they found a treasure at the Brock, and he's so excited and can't wait for her to come. So then she gets a call from the dean's office and she needs to go meet with him. She goes to the dean's office and she's surprised to see another professor sitting waiting for her. So Dr. Bateman, who is the dean, explains to Maya and to Christopher Wilson that the department only has funds for one professor next year. And they're going to have an informal meet and greet with some of the committee members tonight at the fundraiser for the museum. And they're expected to attend and they will have to answer questions. And he can't tell them who it's going to be at this point because the decision will be made by the committee. So Maya explains that she has to be at Pearson Airport by she's got to leave by 9:30. Will this all be done? Yes, it will. Everything will work out. Don't worry. So she leaves his office because she's got things to do. And his administrative assistant gets up to go close the door. And Maya turns around and overhears Dr. Wilson saying to Dr. Bateman, was that necessary? I've got the job. Like, why don't you just tell her? No, we have to go through the committee. So now she's really ticked because she wasn't really sure she liked working in academia, because academia, there's a lot of politics involved. Like, there's an awful lot. And, you've got to attend meetings, and it's not just working with students. She loves working with the students. So she's at a crossroads when she's trying to get her act together to leave to go to Scotland, and she's not sure what's going to happen next. She does have the meeting with the committee, and it does go well, but she kind of thinks it's a done deal. Christopher Wilson's got a shoe in, so he's gonna get the job. So it's, I like to give them problems. Mm-hmm. So,
and not only this, I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler, but when she returns to her office that day, she finds that
It's been broken into.
Yes. And it's just like, so one of the things that I really thought that was, and this is maybe more from like a writing storytelling standpoint. It's like, if what happened to me or what happened to Maya happened to me, I'd be like, I'm done at getting hit on a bicycle. But the fact that she gets up, she goes to work, she, deals with the dean. She then has to go through like all this rigmarole. I just think it really shows like her character and how strong and just like determined she is to like, you know what, I have these commitments. I'm going to go through with them. So I thought that was like, not only was it a way to kind of transition her to Scotland, but it was also like really revealing of the type of person that she is.
Yeah. She's very focused and very determined. And part of her upbringing, her mom and dad are archaeologists. And as a child, she accompanied them on digs everywhere. Like she went with them all over, like she traveled around the world by the time she was 8, following her parents along on digs, until her grandmother stepped in and said, she's 8, she needs to attend a real school. Now, stop. And so she's learned to make her way in life. And she's had to learn to depend on herself. And that's been important for her. So, yeah.
Well, and you mentioned, Rose, somebody who I think is a little bit of an unsung hero in the story, and that's Maya's grandma. Can you, I just love the supportive and yet to me kind of a key role she plays in the story. Could you talk a little bit about her and how she fits into the whole thing?
So Maya's grandmother she's her maternal grandmother, and her name is Marie Tremblay, and they're French Canadian. That's a nod to my background. So, and she, when Maya's parents continued to work in the field, she took over for Maya's care. Actually, Maya lived with her grandparents while her parents were off being archaeologists. And so she knows Maya extremely well, and she has always been the sounding board that Maya has needed. If she's ever had a problem, she just goes to her and spills her guts, basically. And Graham is there to not pick up the pieces, but to help Maya pick up the pieces and figure out what she wants to do with them next. And Gran is also, she had an antique shop on Queen Street, and it was a little shop in a corner, and she had all sorts of different little antiques that she sold, and she had a great time doing it. She met a lot of nice people, and she's still an active part of the antique field, and she's still a large part of the cultural and arts center in the city. So she has her finger on a lot of different places. And she's the one who tips Maya off to an underground operation where there's antiquities being sold at auction for ridiculous amounts of money. And they're all brought in illegally. And Maya doesn't know anything about this and is shocked that her grandmother would know. And but given Gran's background, that's where it comes in from. All the different people that she knows, they confide in her and they give her information. So she's got her own little network.
Yeah, it's like and Gran and Alex, who is another friend of Maya's, I really like that they're like this lifeline for her, where they're not on site in Scotland, they're back in Canada. And I just really liked it. It just like invoked a lot of feelings of just like that connection of like, I'm in a foreign place, like I need to reach back home and get that support that I need. So I hope that we get to see more of them in upcoming installments. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about, since you started off in Scotland, Rose, where do we go from here?
So Maya's going to go back to Lakeview, and at the end of the book, she's offered a position. And so she's going to go back to Lakeview, and she will get work in the city, and she will be based in the city. And then, so the next 2 books, I've got them loosely planned. And well, there's somebody's going to die. Some poor unsuspecting soul is off. Anyway, and and we have to factor in Luke. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to weave him in all the way through, but I think he's going to be around for the next few books as well. But yeah, she'll be in Lakeview. I'm not sending her off on another trip on the second book. I might for the third book, but I am not sending her away anywhere for the second book. She's going to be in Lakeview, and there'll have to be something solved there. And we still don't know what's happening with this illegal antiquities auctions that are happening, and that might factor into book 2, and who knows?
Who knows? Ooh, so exciting. And folks, if you would like to learn more about Dr. Mia Reid, Rose and Maya stopped by my blog Noteworthy the other day, and we did a fun interview where Maya is actually the one in the hot seat. And so you can read more about her from her own words and her point of view if you'd like to check that out. It was really fun to do that, Rose. I'm glad that we were able to get that together. Yeah. Folks, a quick reminder as we are beginning to we're getting close to our time being over. If you haven't already entered into the giveaway this evening, again, it is a $20 e-gift card to either Amazon or Kobo, your choice, that Rose will be generously giving away. Make sure that you type in the word archaeologist into our chat window. You do have to be logged into either your Google or your YouTube account to do so. And so, Rose, you have so we have a couple more books to look forward to for Maya. You and I have kind of gone on a similar journey in regards to the kind of the ups and maybe the downs of publishing when it comes to signing with a publisher that doesn't necessarily meet their commitments, and then we get our rights back to our books that we sold to them. And folks, I'm talking about my book Blogger Mysteries, which I had been signed with actually the same publisher that Rose was. I was able to get my rights back before anything was published and put those out myself. Rose, you had book 1, Death at the Set, out. Any advice that you have for maybe any authors who are watching who may find themselves in like a challenging situation of, things you've signed away the rights to your book, and you might feel that that's kind of like game over for you, but that's not necessarily the case.
No, it's not. I was fortunate. Dawn, our agent, was still with us at the time, and she was, she kept telling me, keep on it, write a letter, let the publisher know that you want your rights back. And these are the books that you have. You have to list all of your books, and you have to say, I want the ebook and I want the paperback rights back. And those are what you're looking for. And in the contracts, usually in the contracts that you sign, there are dates that you as an author need to meet. You have to have your book in by a specific date, or you're going to cause the publishing schedule to fall behind, and that will cost the publisher money, and you may be held liable for those funds as the author. So as an author, you have a responsibility to bring those books in on time. But the publisher also provides a date that they will publish those books by, and they are to be held accountable as well. If you have an agent, your agent will certainly do this for you. Dawn had started the ball rolling with us, and I kept going as I saw what was happening with the publisher that we were with. And I just kept asking. I would send an email every 3 months. What's happening? I need to know. And then finally, I did get my rights back. So I have my rights back for the Brenna Flynn series, and I just need to figure out how I'm going to go about publishing, because I've written 3 books. The books
you have
are
all 3?
written.
Oh my gosh.
All three are written. So they're all done. I would need, and so when the publisher gave me my rights back, there was a one-page addendum that told me exactly what I needed to do if I wanted to reissue book one and how I needed to go about doing that. And so there's specific things that I still have to follow, and I will be doing that. So I'm on the fence. Am I going to look for another publisher to take it on, or am I going to, go that road again, or am I going to jump in and try the self-publishing route? And I didn't do self-publishing back in 2013. Because at that time it just felt like it was insurmountable. There were so many things that I didn't know. And now it's a lot easier than it was back then to self-publish. And I've been in the writing world, and I've met people like Sarah's given us so much good information on so many things. Your YouTube videos on Canva are fabulous.
Thank
I
you.
learned so much from those. But there's so many other options and opportunities that are available to authors nowadays that, I'm seriously considering the self-publishing route. And that means that I'll be able to get those books out a lot faster. Traditional publishing, it's typically one book a year per series. And if you're a prolific author and you're doing 3 or more series, 2 or more series, you usually get a couple books out a year. But so we'll see.
I think that is an excellent tale that folks should be aware of, because you're 100% right. Like, yes, we are held to our dates, but publishers are held to their dates too. And don't be afraid, folks, to advocate for yourself, because we're not entirely powerless when things like that happen. And I'm really excited, Rose, for Brenna. So I'm happy to know that you have all three.
Yes.
Like, you have all three written. I'm currently struggling writing the third book blogger mystery, because I had to do the first 2 for the publisher, but the third one's giving me some trouble. So, but it's always fun. It's you learn something new every day in this industry. So
you do.
I'm sorry that we went through that experience, but it also it teaches us, and like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So it does.
And I didn't like, and I got my rights back after Dawn passed away. So that was, like, to me, that was even a bigger win, because she had been trying to get them, and so I kept on the fight, and I wasn't going to give up, because I kept thinking Dawn wouldn't give up. So you're not going to give up. So and it's taken time, but I'm glad that I have them.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Yes.
And we are too, because that first book is wonderful. People need to read it. People need it. Rose, if you need help with the self-publishing journey, I can't help you, but Sarah can.
Yes.
So
Thank you for volunteering me.
I'm really good at delegation. I think people who know me know.
That's a good one.
I delegated something to you, I think, yesterday too. But anyway, I digress. Rose, this has been fabulous.
It has been.
Thank you so much. It's always great to catch up, and it's so even better to get to catch up because you got a new book to tell us about. So what's next for, you said, as far as Maya goes, that there are more books in the pipeline. Do you have a release date yet for book 2 by chance?
It should come out in November of next year. So it's due to my publisher in May, and should come out in November of next year. So I think the rotation will be with the Maya books. They'll be available in November each year. So
fabulous. So we'll have something. We'll have something around the holidays to look forward to again with everything.
We will.
We've got a couple comments popping up in the chat, Rose. We've got Annie saying, hugs to all 3 of you. Miss you all. Annie, we miss you as well. We can't wait to talk with you when you come visit us in January of 2025, which will be here before you know it. And we have Anne chiming in with, wonderful. These characters feel like real people. And I agree.
Nice.
I think that's what would touch me so much, is that they just approach things in a very realistic way. So folks,
thank you.
Death at the Scottish Broch is available wherever books are sold. Rose, tell us, what are you reading, watching, listening? What are some recommendations you have for us and our viewers for media consumption?
So I just read Old Girls Behaving Badly
Mm.
by Kate Galley.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure what to expect. And I loved it. It was such a good book. It's they're older protagonists. They're in, I believe, I think there's one who's in her 80s, and the sidekick, or actually the one who does all the investigating, I think she's in her mid 60s. So like not over the hill yet, but they're getting older. So, but that was an excellent book, and it's set in England. And it is a murder mystery, and it was very good. The other one that I've read is To Err is Human by Leslie Budwitz. I love that series. I just love that series. She's a wonderful writer. And I just read Rosalie Spielman's Murder Comes Home. And that's an excellent series that follows a veteran, and she's back home and working with her aunt as a mechanic and restoring old cars. So it's one, and of course there's murder and mayhem follows her wherever she goes. And there's a moose too. So
you have better.
Nice. Yeah. So it's really good. And as for what we're watching, I can't remember what we've been watching. My mind's just gone blank. It must be close to 9 o'clock. So.
No worries. Yeah. If you need,
Jim, did you have any good plain TV viewing or movie viewing?
So we drove.
Oh, you drove. Oh gosh. So no watching there.
No, unfortunately not. But we did get to, we are now caught up on the full season of the most recent Great British Baking Show. We finished that, and so that was of course delightful. About halfway through Only Murders in the Building season 4. Of course that crew is just so much fun. And then just recently, before we headed out of town, finished the most recent season of Death in Paradise. So we got to see the swan song of Neville, and that was kind of bittersweet, but we really loved that. And as far as reading goes, Rose, I'm kind of like with you on the watching. I've been reading a bunch of stuff, and I don't know, lots of good mysteries, I can tell you that. So Sarah, off to you.
I do want to chime in that Kristen says that she just finished Rosalie's series and loved it as well. So you've got another ad. I love Rosalie's books too. So got a lot of Rosalie love here. Reading wise, I've been reading a lot of manga. Surprise, surprise. The latest one that I read, it had a ridiculous title, and I can't remember it, but it was cute. It was a little love story. Watching, I devoured the Murder of JonBenet Ramsey docuseries on Netflix. Oh my gosh, like police corruption up the wazoo, like just jaw on the floor, media corruption. I was just like, I couldn't believe it, because I was her age when all of this was happening. And I vividly remember like her on the tabloids and just being like, what happened to this little girl? Wow. Like a really, really good storytelling from the docuseries. Also watched This Is the Zodiac Speaking. That was horrifying. Especially since it ends on this, like, do we know? Will we ever know if, who they think is the killer is the killer? On a more lighter note, watching I think it's called like the Wizard World of Baking, which is like a Harry Potter baking show, which is everything that I've ever needed. It's on Discovery Plus. It has like a bunch of like not the A or the S tier characters from Harry Potter, but it has some of the B tier guys come on and act as hosts and judges and such. And then last but not least, they just released Pop Culture Jeopardy on Amazon Prime. And I could be like a Jeopardy millionaire with this, because I'm just like crushing every single question. And I was like, wow, I'm so smart. So that was really fun. And then audiobook really quickly. I just started listening to, it's like volumes 1 through 27 of Scary Horror Stories it's like an anthology. And the first one was really good. So I'm looking forward to more of them. So yeah.
Nice.
So that was a fabulous evening for, at least for me. I don't know about you two, but I had a wonderful time talking about Maya, about the wonderful, like, the beauty of Scotland, learning about archaeology. We have a giveaway winner that we have to announce. So real quickly, while I am tallying our results, Rose, can you let folks know where they can find you online, a newsletter sign up, a blog, what have you, Facebook groups that you're a part of? Feel free to share.
So you can find me on my website at rosekerr.com, and Kerr is Kerr. I'm also on Facebook as Rose Kerr Author, and I'm also on Instagram as r.m.kerr Author. And I'm also one of 10 mystery writers, and we have a Facebook group called Murder They Write. And it's a Facebook group. You can find it. Just type in that name and you'll find us, answer a few questions, and you can join our group. We're a fun group. We're all part of BRLA, which is the Blue Ridge Literary Agency, and we banded together because we really missed our agent and we needed to stick together. And we have every one of us has a day in the month that we take charge of, and we post different things on Facebook. We do giveaways and we do author takeovers with different authors, and they're all cozy mystery authors. So lots of fun and lots to see and do with our group. So
It's
a fabulous group. Too,
yes, I was
going to say I've been fortunate enough to get to hang out and do a little takeover one day, and you all are so much fun, and I love you all, and so I'm glad you all are doing that, Rose. That's just been great.
Oh, thanks. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it.
You took the words right out of my mouth, JC. Such a good group. We also have Kirsten saying that she loves that Facebook group, has found so many new books and authors through it. So
yes,
Kirsten,
she's in our group. I recognize the name. Yes.
Fabulous. So, yes. So make sure, folks, again, it's on Facebook, Murder They Write. You can sign up to be a part of the fun. Our giveaway winner for this evening, I love that most people spelled archaeologist the way that I used to spell it. So it makes me feel better about myself. But our winner this evening is Ann Forcier. Congratulations,
Wow.
Ann.
Congratulations. Woo woo.
From Orange, Massachusetts, our wonderful winner. And if you can go ahead and email giveaways at itsbookishtime.com. I did put the email in the chat so you can copy and paste it. Let me know what email you would like Rose to send your gift card to, and whether or not you would like an Amazon gift card or a Kobo gift card. And I will make sure that that gets to her inbox as soon as possible. Wonderful, wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is always so fabulous to chat books, to chat with our wonderful viewers. We really appreciate the folks who join us live and chat with us. We appreciate our viewers who watch us after the fact and leave us wonderful comments and likes. We really, really love it. And Rose, we love your work. We love having you here. We're so glad that we got to chat with you, and congratulations on your new series and for what's to come.
Thank you so much. I love being here with you guys. You guys are so much fun. It's like being with family.
Yay.
It really is. Thank you.
We love to hear it. And we have a couple more shows before we all go on the holiday break this year. We have a Bookish Moment next week, Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. I believe our guest, I'm drawing a blank on who our guest is.
Sydney Lee,
Oh,
I
yes,
believe.
it's Sydney. Yes,
Yeah.
Sydney is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about, she has several cozy mysteries that we will be able to chat about. I can't wait to talk about Instagoner because I love a good social media influencer solving crime. So we'll be able to have some fun with our Bookish Moment. But until then, folks, everyone be well and stay bookish. We will see you next time. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.